All right, it's July 27th. I am actually home today. Had a bit of a summer cold. I have one, maybe key lime coming, and still lots of foliage and a bit of foliage and nothing else. It's not looking good for the citrus. Everything's doing well. The apple trees so far, the apples, I didn't spray them. They are forming up and no insect damage, a little bit of leaf damage, but that's fine. Still love the pondless waterfall. Excellent sound to counteract the sound of Route 7, which during the day isn't so bad. And my 3 rescue Japanese maples are doing quite well. I do have them bonsai, trying to get the form and shape I want, but that's all good. Started a few things. I have sugar baby watermelons started in there. The barn swallows have babies. I don't know if I can get a good shot of it up there. But there's at least one baby with its head over the side, and they've been on heavy feeding rotation, so that's good. These were seeds that I gathered from last year that I did some starts, so for year 1 I'm pretty happy with that. Pollinator bed's doing well. Still love these Stokes asters. They are just awesome. And I've got more coming, supposedly in a cornflower blue this fall. So everything in that bed's looking good. Still haven't cleaned up my hose link spot. Still trying to decide if I want to do any changes. The lavender is mostly spent. I learned something new on Grow Veg, that bees see things in the lavender purple spectrum and they're drawn to it. So that must be why the bees loved this. They still come back to it, but and there are some new stocks coming up, but it's mostly just scavenging. They've moved on to other things, like more of the lavender Stokes asters I have around. Oh, this is my volunteer sunflower. This is supposed to be a pot of cat's pajamas Nepeta. I now understand that perhaps this is why some states consider butterfly bushes invasive, because I did not plant butterfly bushes in this, and yet they've come. And that's a helianthus from over there. So insects or something were rather active in there and dropped a lot of seeds, so lots of volunteers. But that's where Stokes aster will be going this fall. So it's nice to have a sunflower, since Cricket dug up 2 of the 3 sunflowers that were in this bed. I replanted a couple. I put in a couple more seeds, but that one's going to bloom shortly. And I did put a few of the really petite sunflowers in with the helianthus. So, you know. But everything else is doing well. The vermillionaires that I overwintered are doing well. Not quite as crazy huge as they were last year when I cut them back, but it's not even August. I have to keep reminding myself there's still months to go. So I've got some very nice strawberries coming. They're ever-bearing, so it took them a while to really get going, but I've got some lovely little pops of good-sized red strawberries in there. Got another crop of coriander. I probably need to just reseed a lot of that and get cilantro for this fall. I'll start in here. To begin with, the grapevine arbor is doing well. The 2 new ones I put in are alive. That's all you can ask for year 1. And the grapes are starting to form up, and so yay, they're cute. I mean, they're just table grapes. So, but they're starting to spread back this way, and on this side is the sweet cherry tomatoes, which are an indeterminate, so I need to do better training them to go over the full arbor, but I get loads of them every day. And I put in a second one over here. I'm not going to do that next year. I'm just going to grow them over the arbor. I was trying to decide exactly how much of everything I needed, and I really don't need 2 sweet cherries because they are prolific producers. So the cucumbers are finally starting to come on. It took so long for them to get going. I keep forgetting to come out and pick cucumbers, and they're getting a little big. So I cut back a ton of basil already this year. Froze 15 good size, it's like 1.3 cups, so 15 cups of pesto starter, which is basil and olive oil, that are in the freezer to, you know, thaw and either actually make pesto or throw them into a pasta dish or whatever else. Finally getting some green beans after I finally got the birds to leave these alone. They are purple, but when you break them, they're green. And that at least has a few. I'm getting a few every day, not many. And I put in some bush beans on the other side. All of the Titan tomato cages have collapsed on me. Now, granted, we have winds coming off the Blue Ridge. They're strong winds, but crushed. I think the real problem is because they send them out in 2 sections. That center section is where they failed. That's that little rubber or plastic portion that puts the 2 together. That's where everything collapsed. The bottom sections are fine, and then the tops are over. So anything that I used that was some type of a sort of metal obelisk structure, no problem. Anything that the 3 Titan tomato cages that I use, they all have done this. So I'm trying to figure out how to do next year. But I would like it aesthetically pleasing. I mean, I have cattle panels obviously in here. I have 3 arches going, and successfully going, by the way. So it's not that I'm adverse to them, but I would like my obelisks, my tomato structures, to be a little more attractive in my corners. So I will say my head-to-heads between the big rainbows and the mortgage lifters. Mortgage lifter wins hands down. That's what I'll be growing as my slicer from now on. I put a few of these in different spots of the garden, and mortgage lifter is the winner of that. I'll always grow Rutgers because Todd went to Rutgers and he wants Rutgers. But I also did a head-to-head of the Amish paste against the Romas. And while there are more Romas, the Amish pastes are bigger and still prolific. And so if I'm going to take the time to core and score, I'm going to do it with the Amish paste. It's just less work. And I have a full-time job, as people point out occasionally. So, yeah, I'm going with Amish paste. So, and as you can see, this is another Rutgers that's happy, and, you know, it's producing. They're nice little, you know, small ones. The peppers, I've been trying to cut back. As you can see, another collapse, and you can see exactly where the collapse happened. That is where the bottom portion attaches to the top rings, and it's the top. That's where it failed on all 3 of them. So, not happy, but I've learned, and I know better for next year. So again, I'm trying to unearth the peppers. I've got peppers under that's behind the basil and under the tomatoes, and you know, it was sad because they were looking good. So, but this is another little all metal structure, no problem. You know, it's just aroma, but they're doing well on it. Lots of calendula and more peppers here. It's going to be a pretty good year for peppers, even though I've lost some. It's been a very good year for eggplant. My co-workers are benefiting, and I've already done a massive kale harvest, and it's back, so you know, it's done well. This one is a normal sized one. This black beauty is, if I can even get this in there, is massive, but I have got tons of eggplant coming. And again, this is for me a trap crop because you can see what the leaves look like. The flea beetles and other stuff go to eggplant. Enjoy. And again, more Romas, and they're doing well. It's not like I'm complaining, it's just a lot more work. And then I do have the Asian eggplants also going, which are nice. Got a couple of the Turkish that are trying to come, but those are the ones the birds destroyed when they took out all the beans and the peas when they were young. So, and again, you can see exactly where the failure happened, right there. Every single one of them. So I also did some indeterminates on the backside, and I was using up materials I had left over from, you know, saving trees, the apple trees from the cicada invasion last year. So the bamboo already had a year of being weathered. One of them did collapse under the weight of the mortgage lifters, which are awesome. I mean, I'll get it to, I've already got major collapses, so I'm just working around it. I'm in the process of cutting them back. I can't tell you how many of these pop-ups I have already filled. And I mean, when I get so far, I just push down, and I mean, they are filled to the gills, as they would say. And we're tossing it on the compost pile, which I don't see as an issue because I don't use the compost for 2 or 3 years and it gets nice and hot. But yeah, and again, this was a first year. These used to be, I had them done for doing some winter veg in them. I had done some cold frames, as we've discussed, scarred for life after putting a hand through a cold frame window. But I'm happy with these. I like this. I'm going to obviously redesign and use different materials for next year, but I'm pretty pleased with how this is going. It may turn into using these for indeterminates, my center section for indeterminates, and then I'll have a few of the Amish paste in there, and then everything else will pretty much be peppers because, you know, I'm getting smarter. I did start my winter sowing-ish, fall sowing, let's call it that. As you can see, I have worked really hard in these 100-degree days, and Todd is under orders to come out and to water this every couple of hours to help the little carrot seedlings stay cool and pop up, and they're coming. And I've got 3 rows of beets. I've got a sugar beet, golden beet, and a red Detroit. So I've got 2 sections that are done like that. And then this one is beets on the backside with parsnips on the front. Old seeds, so we'll see how they do. And then a lot of volunteers that could be kale, broccoli rabe, I don't know. I still have kale in there. We did have a tear, and so a white butterfly did get in. There's been a little bit of caterpillar damage. I tried to go through and pull as much as I could. I need to go through and clean it again before everything starts to get a little larger. And then that is a sweet potato. Yeah, no, whatever. From a distance, the amaranth looks lovely. Up close, you can see the leaf damage. Again, it's a trap crop. Japanese beetles, other stuff go to that instead of attacking other things. I'm all good with that. And it doesn't affect the grain if I ever learn how to do the grain. And I think these are just beautiful. I love them. Like I said, from a distance, it's gorgeous. It is stunning. And I do have volunteers that are outside of the bed that's there. So, still haven't done the other raised bed. Oh, I see we had a... One of the lovely stalks fell in the latest storm. Okay. They are a little delicate. They probably could use some help. The arbor's together so far. I mean, I transplanted the hardy kiwi vines, so hoping in a few years I need to build a top structure for them to grow over, but that's coming. The 5 Hascaps honeyberries are doing well. No problem with those. I do have both red romaine and butter crunch lettuce going to seed that I'll collect. Those are the only 2 that I really grow. Although I did order some that are supposed to be a little more heat tolerant. Maybe I'll try those next year. I put in 2 big pots of bush beans for Todd. Covered them with the cloches. First real use of the Gardener Supply cloches that I have that are chicken wire, and kept the birds off them. Can't complain. So happy about that. And as you can see, lots of peppers coming. Woohoo! And they are bell peppers because we actually do a lot of like grilling and fajitas and other stuff. So we don't really do hot and spicy, but we do a lot of bell peppers that I can blanch and freeze and get prepped up, so all good. And I think that's about it. You know, things are progressing nicely. Just can't believe the collapse of tomato cages. It's just sad. But this is a learning experience. That's what I say every year. And I am learning. Oh, and there's a lovely little strawberry right there. I mean, it's not too many. We had them kind of decimated by bunnies earlier this year. And then the dogs decimated the bunnies, so circle of life. Anyway, so that's it. I will stop on my volunteer sunflower. That's sweet. Thank you, birds. I have lots of birds. So, and little white butterflies that can't get to my brassicas. Haha. Anyway, that's it for this time. I will touch back in August, see how things are going and how my fall crops are starting to come up and do well, I hope. And that's it for July.